So on that point of Charlie doing what Charlie did, Charlie was a lot of things. Charlie was not a moderate. Charlie wasn't an extremist. Charlie wasn't, what everyone described him as, like this awful person who wants to be like a fascist or whatever. Charlie wasn't that. But Charlie wasn't a moderate either. Charlie went hard. He said, I watched Steve Deace, if you ever watch this. Steve Deace had such a beautiful show the day after Charlie's assassination. Him and Steve were very close. And Steve is one of my favorite commentators in the world, such a titan for the faith, such a warrior for the faith. And he's told a story of when an event like when him and Charlie were just starting to get to know each other, and they were going to go speak on a stage together. And before, Charlie was really tall. Charlie was like 6'5". Steve, I guess, is like average height. He's around like 5'11" or 6 foot. And Charlie apparently bent down to Steve, and he's told him, he just said, go hard. And then Charlie Kirk and Steve Deace, everyone, and they walked out, and Steve was like, what? And then they just walked out on the stage. It was so funny. And Charlie went hard, man. He went hard. And what this proves, getting into a more serious tone now, is that one of my favorite quotes ever, and one that I'm just discovering is so much wiser and so much more real than I ever thought it was in Star Wars A New Hope. So the original Star Wars. So when the original crew, when Leia, Han Solo, the droids, R2-D2, C-3PO, and Princess are going to rescue Princess Leia, Obi-Wan Kenobi's there. Obi-Wan Kenobi goes to shut down the tractor beams so the Millennium Falcon can fly away. If you're skip over this part if you need to, if you're not getting the nerve, but get the quote. So Obi-Wan goes away from his task of shutting down the tractor beam to confront Darth Vader, who is his former apprentice, Anakin Skywalker. Spoiler alert, sorry, you should have seen the movie by now. That's not my fault. But he goes to confront Darth Vader, and Darth Vader kind of starts like talking mess to him and says like, I'm so much, I was once the apprentice, but now I'm the master, all these type of things. And Obi-Wan says back to him, strike me down and I shall become more powerful than you can ever imagine. And it gives me goosebumps just saying it, because it's so true. And like I mentioned earlier, this is exactly what happens when you martyr somebody. They become more powerful after you kill them. And make no mistake about it, Charlie Kirk is a martyr. He is a Christian martyr, first and foremost. He is a conservative martyr. He is a American martyr. He is a values martyr. And this is exactly what's going to happen with Charlie if we proceed properly from this horrible assassination of Charlie Kirk. This has already started to happen in terms of no more live and let live. No more, it's just, it's a both sides thing. We'll get to that in a second. To put it as plainly as I possibly can, the moderate right is, and if it is, it should not be, a thing no longer. Moderation is over. Charlie Kirk tried to be moderate, and they killed him for it. They shot him in the neck for it. Moderation is no longer a thing for conservatives, for Christians, and shame on you if you believe that it is. If you believe that being passive is still acceptable. It's not. It's never been. And Charlie was not passive. He tried to approach it in a passive way, and they killed him for it. No more passivity. No more moderation. We go hard, like Charlie Kirk told Steve Deace. So the both sides, I'm trying to calm myself down. The both sides argument of, well, there's extremes on both sides. Well, we need to see both sides of this. No. That's gone, brother. That's gone. That argument is dead and buried with Charlie Kirk. Charlie tried. He was the only one, by the way, that tried to bridge that gap and reason with the unreasonable. And he got through to some, but he didn't with others. And the animals that he tried to reason with, that Charlie tried to tame, killed him for it. And I'm not blaming Charlie at all. I'm not. I'm certainly not trying to victim blame for his death. Charlie could have never seen that coming. No one could have seen that coming. But this was a wake-up call for people who needed it, including me. And I think I've been beating this drum more than anything else, but now I'm radicalized to this drum. The solution for our problems in our country is not compromise. It is not meeting across the aisle. It is not reaching our hand across the aisle. It is not ceding ground. It is digging your heels in so hard and so deep that you will have no choice but to persuade people. Becoming so convicted in what you believe that you are willing to do what Charlie Kirk did and take a bullet for it. Do not compromise. If you compromise, they'll kill you. Charlie Kirk proved that with his life. We must dig our heels in so hard, so deep. We must punch so hard that you will have no choice but to persuade people because you are so staunch in your beliefs. Because the other thing that we have to come to terms with, and something that was proven, unfortunately, with the death of Charlie Kirk, with the killing of Charlie Kirk, was that we are not the same. The Christian conservative coalition is not the same as what Charlie Kirk was trying to persuade. Let me give you some examples. Tim Walz, who would have been vice president of the United States if Donald Trump and J.D. Vance didn't win, thank God for that. He was talking at a rally the other day in his home state of Minnesota about how he's eagerly awaiting Trump to die. Look up the clip. Jesse Kelly has it on his show. Well, he's not going to die now, but we'll wait. Essentially, I'm paraphrasing, so don't quote me, but we're going to have to wait a little longer for that day to happen, for Trump to die. Openly, in front of people, and the animals at that rally were cheering when Tim Walz was talking about Donald Trump, the sitting president of the United States, who already got shot at twice and hit once in the head to die. How about Luigi Mangione, that psychopath who shot and murdered and assassinated the CEO of a major healthcare corporation? And I know people have issues with the healthcare system, but you can't kill people. And more importantly, you cannot make an idol out of an assassin, which Taylor Lorenz, that sick journalist, quote-unquote journalist, has done. And what so many people on the left have done, merch, candles, everything like this. Steve Scalise, how about going back to 2017 when Steve Scalise and other Republican operatives were shot by a Bernie Sanders supporter? I'm not blaming Bernie Sanders. He can't control this person. But these are the people that we're dealing with. The Trump assassination attempts. That crazy guy down in Florida with the automatic weapon who wanted to volunteer for the Ukrainian militia. And that CIA asset or intelligence asset that nearly took his head off in Butler, Pennsylvania. In a very similar and ironic, in the worst sense of the word, way that Charlie Kirk died this week. So what does that mean? What that means, the modern left in this regard is a death cult. It is a death cult. They are a culture that is glorifying and celebrating and encouraging violence, not just in the ways that we talked about. Abortion, cutting off the healthy body parts of children, foreign warmongering, everything like this. They're a death cult. And we need to start viewing it as such. This is demonic. This is evil. Many of them, I skipped over this part of the Steve Day show, but I'm going to watch it again today. I've been staying away from the tweets and from the videos and the TikToks of all the sick, evil, demon-possessed people that are dancing on the grave of Charlie Kirk and are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. And the reality is, we can look at the people on TikTok, all of the teachers. By the way, pull your kids out of those goddamn schools. I'm sorry for blaspheming. Pull your kids out of those schools. I just made a point out of this. Get your kids out of these college campuses where people think it's okay for a young 31-year-old father of two to get shot in the throat when your kid maybe could be in the audience. Many of them, and by the way, many of the people that follow them would not take back what just happened to Charlie Kirk. As pointed out by Charlie himself, prophetically and tragically. This is another social media post that he had out. Charlie Kirk, I think, wrote it about 2 weeks before he was assassinated. The culture of assassination in America is rising. He had data to prove this. An outrageous number of people want to use violence and death to silence their political enemies on the left. This is not a fringe position. Many of them, if you put them on a polygraph, would not take back what just happened to Charlie. They wouldn't. Stop lying to yourself as such. The data is there. The videos are there. The writings are there. Shout out to Libs of TikTok and to Robbie Starbuck and to Benny Johnson and to all the people online that are exposing these people and getting these people fired for what they're saying about Charlie Kirk had it coming or catch this fascist or whatever. These people are evil. Now, we must be righteous in doing this. I'm trying to calm myself down again. We must be righteous in doing this. But it is time for a vibe shift around how we handle ourselves here. And that vibe shift is as such. No quarter, no mercy, no compromise when it comes to doing the right thing, particularly when it comes to Christianity and all of us who love God, as Charlie did. I put out a tweet after Charlie got assassinated. Look at the Christian leaders in the world and in your life. Watch what they say, if they say anything at all. If they do not say anything, and if they do not condemn, and not only condemn, but say that it is evil what happened to Charlie Kirk. And by the way, what's happening in all of our schools across the country, those poor little Catholic kids that got killed by that demonic psychopath up in Minnesota. Tim Walz' estate, by the way. If they do not say anything about this, if they do not condemn this openly in front of the congregation, you need to leave that church. And shame on that pastor, shame on that priest, shame on that congregation for taking the name of Jesus and not saying anything about what happened to Charlie Kirk. Shame on you. My church did something in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's assassination and the aftermath of these terrible killings of these Catholic schools. And by the way, September 11th was yesterday at the time of this recording. We didn't get to honor those people as much as we should have because of what happened with Charlie. And I'm sure Charlie is wanting us to. But my church stood in the gap. They put out a social media post and condemned all of this. They opened the church doors the next morning after Charlie Kirk's assassination and said, anyone who wants to come and pray, we're having a prayer service. If you can come, do so. We're going to be praying between the hours of 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning. Come to church. Be around believers. And I'm so proud that my church did that. Red Rocks, Austin, my 3 pastors, Doug Weckerman, Ryan Weckerman, Ethan Matat, and all of that staff over there, all of whom I love, they stood in the gap. They said this was wrong. Not only wrong, but evil. What happened with Charlie Kirk. So now, all of us who believed in what Charlie Kirk believed in, particularly if you proclaim to be a Christian, we must be forceful and unapologetic when it comes to our values. And we must do everything in our power to rip the guts and the roots out of the demonic counter-argument that opposes us. We cannot let this stand. Steve Deace on his show today called it political sadism. I couldn't find a better description. Anyone in your life that celebrates the death of Charlie Kirk, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, correct them, shame them, report them to their employer, tell their wife. You cannot stand by while this happens. You cannot. If you proclaim to be sorry for Charlie's death and you do not do anything, you are a part of the problem, and not only you're part of the problem, you are worse than that. You are part of the opposition because this is evil. and evil never stops itself.